Hey guys, this is Andrew. I'm here in my reptile room right now. Currently I broke my foot in two places and I have 3 pins in it, and I also broke my collarbone, which you don't want to see it. It looks pretty bad. But yeah, I had surgery and everything should be good, but my reptile room is currently not in my basement where it should be. It is in the guest bedroom with where my parents like to keep guests, but they have another form of guests, which is my reptile collection that I've been reclaiming since I got in the accident. So anyway, we're going to go through some of my reptiles in my rack system that I've got set up, and that's what we're going to be doing right here. So if you'll follow me down. Alright, what I have here is my simple rack setup that I just made. I hauled this in from the garage. It's just a simple 2 foot by I think 12 inches deep, your basic shelving unit, and I have that wired up with this ZoomEd heat cable, which I do not recommend. It says that it comes with 23 feet of it. Probably the first 5 or 7 feet of it I don't even get hot. It has hot and cold spots. It says 50 watts. I've been keeping it on a rheostat, which is a glorified, if you know what you're doing, it's basically a glorified dimmer switch. So if you can wire up a dimmer switch, you could probably just make one of these, and it controls the amount of wattage put out to your heating element, which in this case the rack system is made with this heat cable, which, like I said, I do not recommend, but it was the only thing at the pet store at the time, so I'm waiting for the actual heat tape to come in. It's 11-inch heat tape, and I've got a melamine large unit that's probably more like 3 feet across and about 18 inches deep, so it'll be a lot better. Right now my adults are in 12-quart containers. This one's a 15-quart. These two are both 12-quart, and these two on the other sides, those are 6-quart containers. This one's got a leucistic leopard gecko, and the rest are my corn snakes. Right here I've got a fluorescent fixture that I use that's on a timer. It's just in one of those mechanical security Brinks home security timers. You can usually get them at Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart for between $3 and $6. I think I ended up having to fork out and buy them for $6, but I know that I've seen them for $3.50. So got them while they're cheap. You might as well have them around. They're good for a day-night cycle. The bulb that I have in here is just it's not a UVA UVB bulb. It's a 270K spectrum, so that's more like autumn colors. It will bring out more of your oranges, and it's going to be bright as crap, but let's see if I can turn it on for you. Yeah, so that's bright, but it's got more of the yellow spectrum than it's got the blue spectrum. The blue spectrum is your daylight bulbs, and that's 6500K. So you're going to want to remember that. That's your UVB lighting. That's what a lot of lizards need. Snakes don't need it, so that's why I'm using what I'm using in this setup. So right here on this bottom row, got my first snake. Actually, we'll talk about this little guy first. He's in about a 5.5 square container. He used to be in a 6-quart, but he got out, and I found him in the closet, so that wasn't good. I just changed its bedding, and he decided to urinate or produce urates already, so I've got to clean that up. But there's a little close-up on him. He's an albino motley, or an albino motley stripe, and I'm going to mix him with my albino motley stripe female. It's a 2010 animal. He was bred by somebody out in Carnersville, which is near me. And this one is my guy. I named him lovingly Walter. He loves to be underneath the substrate and take baths, and also enjoys long strolls on the beach. But he's a good snake. He's a good size snake. Good length anyway. He's definitely, you can see his vertebrae a little bit, so he's a little underweight for breeding, and I've been fattening him up with rat pups. But he's been off feed, so he either thinks he's hibernating because I got cold while I was setting up this rack system, or he thinks, or he's in shed. So that's Walter. Right. Now, as I said, I was using this heat cord. Here's a piece of it right here. And then I'll slide this out. And from under here, you can see a bit of the heat tape that I've got, or the wire that I'm using, and it is laid down with ducting tape. It's metal aluminum foil tape. I did have it near me, but I'll show you what it looks like. But basically it's aluminum tape, and it helps dissipate the heat so that you can have a good flow of heat across this, so that it's not just heat on the actual wire itself. It heats across the metal because, you know, metal is conductive of heat and electricity. So in this tank next to Walter, in this Sterilite, I have a striped corn snake. He's an 08 male, and he has a very beautiful underbelly. It's a beautiful white. Usually corn snakes have that maize, Indian maize type pattern on their underbelly, but this one has really got a nice cream color. He's coming to say hi. I was trying to make another video and he tried to escape on me, but he's definitely a good size for an 08, but I'm gonna hold off on 1 year. I was gonna breed him to my albino motley female, but we don't know the hets, but we know that we'd have some striped offspring at least. Then in the back of here, I've got a thermometer that's reading at really high humidity, which is probably wrong. These humidity hydrometers suck usually. And it's 77 degrees, which I know it gets to be about 80, at least on the top row. It probably is about 77, 78 on the bottom row. So I've got 2 cords on the bottom shelf and 2 cords on the back side. So I've got 2 and 2. I place these right back here. Then I'm gonna replace my little guy, and he's just got a little piece of heat tape right there where he's going up to the next level. And then on the top row, this is the whole setup. On the top row, in the center, we've got my beautiful creamsicle reverso kitty. She just shed for me. She's supposed to be my big fat female. She went off feed for a minute while she was shedding. I couldn't tell that she was shedding. She didn't go opaque or anything, but now that I see her true coloration, I mean, she is absolutely gorgeous. That orange and white contrast is ridiculous on this snake, and she also loves to bathe, so I've got to clean out that water all the time. I use cypress mulch. I'm going to probably switch them all over to paper towels, but cypress mulch tends to keep the bugs away. It's not like pine mulch, where pine tends to clog up in their airways, and so does cedar, because it gets to be such a fine dust. It will clog up their airways and create respiratory infections. And then this last little girl that I've got, as far as snakes, is my albino motley female, and she's got a good stripe pattern on her, so she's going to match up really well with that albino motley stripe male. But this one is a 09, and still has probably at least another year under her belt and some feedings. Get her up to feeding 2 adult mice a day. Right now she's eating probably a couple hoppers once a week, and I've just got her in a 6-quart container with some water, and I'll eventually move her to one of these 12 quarts once I beef up the size of my rack. But you can definitely see the heat tape back here. I've got the doubled up on the bottom and doubled up on the back. Push them all the way against the wall. And then this last one, I've got another thermometer. You can't have too many thermometers. If I've got 5 animals, I probably need 5 thermometers. I just don't have it right now. So, in this tank, we have my leucistic. There he is, my leucistic leopard gecko that I got on Black Friday sale over at Petco, actually, of all places. They had a couple of crazy morphs, so I grabbed the biggest one, and since they only take about 6 months to get them up to breeding size, I just figured I'd grab one. And he's dangling on me, but I've got there's some sphagnum moss with a net cup that I'm using as a hide, and also helps with the humidity, so that when he or she goes into shed, which you can't tell the sex of him quite yet, you gotta wait till they're about 5 months old, and then you can see the V-stripe, which I'll show you in another video. But here's water and food dish. He's had a couple crickets since he's been with me, but he's really not had that much. I'm gonna fix his thermometer and get him back in there. Alright, I got him all settled up, and that's his thermometer. It just went down a couple degrees just because I had pulled it out, but it was at about 80.2 degrees, which is right where I want to keep these guys. And I keep them at about 70 to 72 on this front side, and then it goes to about 80 degrees on this back side. And I've been changing the placement of my thermometers just to make sure the gradient is the same in each container, since I am operating multiple size containers. You want to make sure that you don't have one getting too hot and one getting too cold. And they're all controlled currently by my rheostat, which is that dimmer switch. And that's basically it for this rack system, and I'll talk to you guys soon.